All right, man. Thanks for being on. I'm excited to be with everybody. But hopefully you're growing each and every week. We had some really cool numbers coming this week. I'm excited to share with you what's going on, and we got a great topic for you. So this is really where the rubber meets the road for a lot of you, because you're out building the business from week to week. This is a training. I've been saying it every week. I'm going to repeat it again. This is not one of these deals where you wait till the end of the training and then start going to work. We're pushing the action every week so that you're learning and growing. It's the best way to learn this content. It's the best way to take your business to the next level. And I'm just super excited to be able to be with you. So we're going to kick this off. If you're excited, give me a thumbs up emoji right now over the chat room. I'm going to pull up my, let's see how many of these we can get over there. I'm going to pull up my screen, and we're going to kick off lesson 5 here right now. And I like to see all the chats. We'll make sure that they're over here. I will tell you, we've got, a few more lessons coming up, and then we're going to do we're going to have a designated special lesson. You'll hear about that as we move forward, but just a few more weeks together on these topics. It's all taken from the book. Now, 7 laws. These are not laws that I was an expert at. These are things that I had to overcome so that I could end up building teams of businesses. And I believe in this industry, and I believe anybody can do this. I don't believe everyone will do it, but I believe everybody can do it, those that want to do it. So this is lesson 5. Before I jump in, like we do every week, we want to go through our scorecard. So every week, if you're new to this, if you're new to 7K, go back and watch the recordings. It might be, you could maybe watch one a day. They're only 30 minutes long, and you'll catch up really quick within a few days. If you like to binge watch Netflix, maybe you can binge watch 4 or 5 of these trainings and just take some notes. But we're, as a collective group, we're taking action. And as you see, we've had, there's 5 weeks. We kind of had a bonus week there, but this is actually the 5th full week. You see how many people have been participating. We had one big week there, that 253 big week, but around the, 150 mark or so is to 200 mark, somewhere in there is about what's participating. And here's what I'm proud of. We're staying true to that. We're not really losing people in this training. Week 5, we've got people moving forward. So a week ago, not what happened just this past week, but what I announced last week, we had 967 invites that were logged in from the 162 people. We had 463 presentations and 43 new members that joined that week. Now, out of this 463 presentations, or maybe a bunch more that joined this coming up, in the future, that's going to happen. So, but this is the numbers from that particular week. And so let's go over this week's numbers. Everybody submitted their numbers today, really, and we did a great job. Matter of fact, I want you to notice, and we're going to announce some awards. We're giving away some really cool things this week, but everyone seemed to dive in and get focused. We look at this number. It went from 967 in a 7-day period to this past week. We had 1,489 invites. Everybody, that's powerful. That just goes to show what can happen, what's going to be done. This is just, we're heading in the right direction. Out of that, there was 579 presentations. So there might be a lot more coming in over the next week or two, because sometimes you invite people this week and they don't see it for 2 more weeks. I get that. But look what happened last week. 579 presentations were logged as a team. And look, our new member count even went up as well. So all of our numbers went up. And we have proven to ourselves once again that when we focus together, see, this is how you create momentum. This is how it really rolls. So our percentages are moving in the right direction. Again, these are 1-week percentages. I predict these numbers all will double over the next week or two, as far as there's probably another 40, 50 people that would join out of this 579 presentations. And so our percentages will all jump up. But look at the collective since we started together. 5,807 invites were logged, over 2,000 presentations, over 335 new members. And I want you to take note, you really can't see the total impact of this, but you can kind of see that it's a numbers game. If invites happen and presentations happen, new members are coming in. You can't get around it. It's going to happen. And if you do this with urgency and speed, you create momentum for your organization. So our follow-up number, now look, we had 175 people. Our numbers 3 weeks in a row, here we are. We're up again. We're trending upwards again. More and more people are participating. And there's our chart. You can screenshot this. You can look at it. You can kind of see what's going on. But the reality is this is a numbers game. Now, I want to give you some of the winners. And I'm very, very proud of this group because what I saw was more participation. More people signed up, at least one person or more this week than any other week we've had to date together. So I think people are getting it. People are, again, taking action. This stuff is not rocket science, but it is sometimes you got to learn it. You got to get out of your comfort zone. And this week we're going to give away the top 5 people are going to get all-in tickets to the next convention in New Orleans. We also threw out a challenge that anybody that did at least 5 presentations and signed up at least one person. Now, there's a lot of people that did one presentation and signed up one, but I set out a goal that I'm going to send an autographed Think Big book to everybody that did at least 5 presentations and signed up one person on top of what the company's doing with the all-in tickets. So let's kind of roll with this because here's the cool news. Everybody on this screen qualified for the Think Big book. That means everybody logged at least 5 presentations. They signed up at least one. Most people on the screen signed up 2 or more. So congratulations to Ann Mahler, Karen Kelly, Jason Shirley, Sherry LeMay. Hey, give them shout outs over here in the chat room. If you know somebody that's on the screen, give them some congratulations. Sherry LeMay, Jay Lee, Colin Lee, Catherine Bass, Linda Eberhardt, Linda Wigan, hope I'm saying these right, Wigan, Alicia Kaufman, Rob Weger, Diane Engelex, and Margaret Knight. You all are getting a mailed book to you. I'll send you an email. I have all your emails because you logged info so I can get your address and we'll have my team here. I'll autograph it for you. We're getting it in the mail, but this is not the top 5 yet. The top 5, see, normally I only show the top 10, but we had more than 10 people. We had 18 people qualify for the Think Big book, but our top 5 qualified for the all-in tickets, and here's the names. Congratulations to Faye Ballheimer, Catherine Bass, Kim Mulatto, Kimberly Wiley, and Wayne Clark. And here's what's, awesome. Every single person on this screen, because I always ask the question, are you coming to convention? Are you coming to convention? 100% of the people on this screen are going to be at the New Orleans convention. They already got their tickets. They're ready to roll, and a lot more. It's a high percentage of this group are going. So if you want to be around the enthusiasm, the excitement, you want to be in New Orleans. You want to be out this way. You don't want to miss this event. You want to, if something, you're thinking about something stopping you, pausing you, or whatever, try to figure out a way to pause that and don't miss this event. It's going to be a special thing. So congrats, everybody. Great job. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it again. Next week, we're going to do all in again. I got permission, top 5. This means you go, when you get the link next Tuesday and Wednesday, click the link, log your presentations. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to do at least 5 if you want to be in the top 5 minimum. I think everybody here did way more than that. And you're going to have to sign up at least one person, but all in 5 more tickets were given out. That's the Mac Daddy ticket. But you know what? The company decided to do that again. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go another round to Think Big. I'm going to do it one more week. This is probably the last week we'll do this, but everybody this next week, let's see if we can get these numbers doubled. Let's see if we can get, let's see if we can give away 30 books. Everybody that logs 5 presentations gets at least 1 new member. You get an autographed Think Big book. You got a shot for the top 5 for the all-in tickets, and let's go make it happen, everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's have fun with this. Encourage your team to participate. This is something anybody can do. Anybody can do this. Now, I asked a few questions on the survey this week, and I like to do this because, when we're talking with hundreds of people at one time, I want to have a conversation. I want us to grow. I want us to learn about how to think about this so that we know that it may be simpler than what we're thinking. I asked everybody, I just was curious, what are your goals? What are you focused on right now at an income level? Now, I want to say this. I gave 5 choices. Here's the 5 choices: 500 to 1,000 a month. These are monthly and not annual. 1,000 to 2,500, 2,500 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000. And how many of you are focused right now? Not everybody wants to make more than 10,000 a month, but based on where you're at with 7K, where you want to go with it right now over the next 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months, what really would make you feel like, hey, if I accomplished it, I'm on the right track? And here's the good news. There is no wrong answer. Whatever your answer is, I just want you to go for it with enthusiasm and excitement and figure out what we've got to figure out now. So there is no bad answer, but I do have some insight for you today. More than 50% of you answered the number 2 and 3, answered between $1,000 and $5,000. And I want to bring this to your attention. It's probably closer to 55%. Because it really goes down to relatability, believability, because people only go after something they believe they can achieve. And we got to stretch that belief if they ever want to make more money. But more than 50% of everyone you're signing up right now in your teams is probably thinking, if I could just generate 1,000 to 5,000 a month, it would change my life. Now, I like making big money. We want to have that. But if you want to zone in on relatability and you want to move the masses, I can promise you this: you go out and help 10 or 20 people in over the next year or two get to 1,000 to 2,000 a month of solid income. Your income is multiple 6 figures or higher in this pay plan. And so we have to make sure that as we're setting our own goals, we also are identifying what the goals of the majority of the people as they're getting going in this is a big deal. So we don't want to belittle 1,000 a month or even 500 a month. This is life-changing income. How much debt-free real estate do you have to generate 1,000 a month of reoccurring income? I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in most cases. And so going out to build $1,000 a month residual income in this industry, and in 7K specifically, not only is it fun, not only is it rewarding, not only do you have assets that you're accumulating, you're building an asset. The team that you're building is an asset in itself, because it's generating residual passive income while your net worth is going up because of the physical assets. So it's just a great, great model. Now, let me mention this to you. Another thought for you, because I want you to identify. I asked another question, and that it was the question after this, like, what's the income level you're shooting for? Okay, everybody answered that. That's great. Then I said, do you know what size team that you need to achieve that income? And 33%, so a third of the people answered that no. That means 66% answered yes. But I want to raise this question because maybe not all 66%, 67% really have it crystallized in their mind. Whatever goal you're shooting for, take the time to sit down with somebody that knows what they're doing and identify what that organization, what size you think it would need to be, how many personal hostings you would need to have, and get that settled in your mind, because that makes picking up the phone, that makes going to show the presentation, that makes moving the marbles that much more clear. It also becomes an attractive quality as you're communicating with your team, because if you know where you're going and you're strong about it, you believe in it, you're able to even communicate that to help other people get there. This strengthens your team as a leader, and it helps you arrive much quicker at wherever you want to be. So, hey, we've got a lot of cool stuff to go on. Let's jump right into it. We got 15 minutes. I'm going to cover law number 5, law of expectations. The assumptions or beliefs that you make determine your closing ratio. A lot of people want to know their closing ratio, and I'm going to help with that right now. But as I've said in previous classes, I'm more interested in how your posture ratio, how you're showing up to the game, because before we ever even get to the end of the presentation, how you're conducting yourself with laws number 1, 2, and 3, and then how you're moving the marbles and creating that conversation throughout the presentation, That's what determines the closing ratio more than a fancy closing phrase. Like a fancy closing phrase done after a poor presentation doesn't usually work out that well. So the expectations we bring to the game, how we show up, how we feel about ourselves, the law of what do we expect when we walk in the door? When we get on the Zoom with the prospect we haven't spent a lot of time with, but we've gotten to know them. When we put this content, when we're putting information out, what are the expectations that we're kind of creating in that, and how do we really feel about it? Do we feel like they may or may not be interested? I hope it works out. Or do we step up to the plate ready to swing the bat with the right attitude? See, I don't believe you can't have what you don't expect. And sometimes it's these poor expectations that the prospect can feel, because maybe you haven't had success. Maybe you've showed 8 or 10 people and they decided not to join. And now you're talking to the 11th person and you're bringing that attitude, that feeling to the table. It's not an expectation of greatness. It's not an expectation of, hey, we're going to, over the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to build teams. We're going to meet enough people. Whether this person says yes or no, it doesn't matter, because I'm just going to go out and move more marbles. We're not bringing an expectation. Therefore, the words that are coming out of our mouth aren't really solid words. See, closing, as we talk about closing the sale here, closing is really more of an attitude, not an abrasive attitude. It's kind of this belief that you bring to the table. And that's the simplest way I can explain it quickly, that this course and what we're going through is helping you create that belief. It's helping you understand that, hey, you don't have to be great at this. You just got to go do the numbers. You'll get better, but it's the action that's going to take care of it. It's ask the right questions as you're moving along building the business. And that's if you're going to be mentored in this, it's a whole lot easier for me as a leader, or you as a leader, to mentor someone on your team that's out doing 2 or 3 presentations a week, because now you got something to talk about, than to spend all your time trying to motivate somebody to get them to go do anything or go make a phone call. So doing the action speeds up the mentorship, the growth, and the belief process. See, Brian Tracy, one of my favorite books on closing the sale, and I'm giving you some tips here, says this: the art of closing the sale. If you're completely fluent with closing and absolutely confident in your ability to ask for the order at the end of your presentation, you'll be more aggressive about prospecting in the first place. Take that for a second. I'm going to teach you some things about closing the sale. When you get a little bit more confident in this, which takes practice, once you show up to the game knowing that, okay, here's what I'm going to do, here's how I'm going to do it, then you got that kind of checked off your mind. You're not worried about it. It causes you to want to go out and spend all your energy on prospecting rather than figuring out all the things you did or didn't do correctly. You'll even have a higher self-esteem and a better self-image about yourself. You'll become more active each sales day, and you'll even use your time better, because you know that you can close a sale. You're going to feel like a winner most of the time. See, somebody that closes a sale also knows that not everybody's going to buy, but they're okay with that. Law of expectations. Let me give you 5 beliefs of high performance closers. Here's one of the big beliefs you want to bring to the table here, everybody. Write this down. Now, you're about to show the presentation. You've been booking the presentation. You're bringing this even with the first phone call. You're not saying this. This is a belief that you have. And the belief that you have when you pick up the phone to call the prospect is this: everybody wants what 7K has to offer. I mean, you'd have to be out of your mind not to want it. Everybody, it doesn't mean they all want to build the business, doesn't mean they all, but you believe enough in the product, the opportunity, everything. Again, you're on here tonight, you want to learn how to build teams. But as you're building those teams, everybody wants what 7K has to offer. If you don't believe that, then there's something probably going to come across to your communication improperly. So we want to get there. But high performers believe this. They know that not everybody's going to do it, but they believe that everybody wants what we have to offer. So they craft their conversation accordingly. Number 2, the high performance closers, people that close more sales than anybody, they take more of an interview approach like I'm interviewing somebody rather than I'm trying to get people to sign up. Meaning you're building some teams. You only need a handful of people, really good ones. And the faster you go through the numbers, the faster you find those. So wouldn't it be smarter? Like if you were building a brick and mortar corporation, no matter what kind of company it would be, and you needed to hire a few people, you would probably, interview 10 people, hopefully, and you would pick the best two. You can't, you might, all 10 might be good, but you would be asking questions, trying to figure out, just like they're asking questions of you, you're asking questions of them, because you're also making a decision. Who are you going to go run with? Who are you going to go spend time with? Ladies and gentlemen, these are important decisions. If somebody's answering questions in the process, negative answers, or they're acting like they don't have time and they don't have this and they don't have that, but they want to get rich. They want to get wealthy, but they don't want to spend any time because they don't have any time doing it. Their TV shows are on every night between 7 and 9, and they got bowling twice a week, but they don't have any time to go build a business. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't sign up. I'm saying you're interviewing people because you're building this. You're trying to decide how you're going to go spend your time. And if you do sign up somebody that maybe they're not the person you want to go spend time with, your next step would be, who can they lead you to very quickly? You're an interviewer. You got to learn how to ask yourself. You got to ask yourself the right questions. Here's what I mean by this. Now, this is some powerful stuff I'm about to show you, because there's some questions that as you're building this business and you're showing presentations, these questions will drastically increase the amount of people you sign up and the speed at which your team can replicate and duplicate. Here's 5 key questions, kind of a breakout session here, to maximize the closing ratio. 1, do I know why my prospect would want to do this? I'm telling you, so many people are trying to close sales and don't even know why their prospect would want to do it. This is what has to be rolling around in your head as you're building the business. Is my prospect somebody I like? It kind of sounds funny when you say it out loud, but too many of us are trying to sign people up, chase people, or we think we need people that we really don't want to hang out with. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't sign them up, but this is you could be doing this for years, having fun with this company for years. Don't make it painful by chasing people that you don't even like. And please don't get bothered by people that don't join that you don't like. Does my prospect want to be here listening? Okay, did they get talked into the presentation? Maybe you're helping somebody new and that's getting signed up, or somebody new that just signed up on your team and they have a few friends over, and these friends are acting like they don't want to be here. Why are they here? Wasting their time. It's kind of good for you to set the right posture as a leader with people, so they know real clear that, hey, we don't want to talk you into this. So if now's not a good time, kind of do the takeaway if you have to, if people act like they don't want to be there, because you don't want to begin to present, because your closing ratio will go way down if you're presenting to people that don't want to see it. Has my prospect been presented with enough third-party testimonials? Now, this is a question I started asking myself a lot, because sometimes we move so quick. Let's say they've seen the presentation. They're not ready to make a decision, but here's what we know. The more we build people's belief, the more likely they are to sign up. The more they believe in what 7K is doing, the more it's going to make sense for them to be a part of it. The more they believe that they could build a few teams and create passive income through team building, the more likely they are to jump on and get started right away. A lot of that comes from, we can do a good job to get people to join, but we may have to use third party, get them to an event, get them on the phone with somebody, do a 3-way call to get their belief up high so that we actually see more people taking more action. The teams that do more third-party testimonials always grow faster, period, than the teams that don't. And is my prospect a decision maker? If it's a husband and wife couple and the husband doesn't want to make a decision without the spouse, it's better to wait and show it to both of them or the other way around. Or the wife could be the decision maker, which is a lot of time, or they're the ones that need to make the decision, or they're the ones you're showing it to, and it's the husband. Either way. So make sure that you're moving forward. This can increase your closing ratio too, especially if you're showing it to couples. And we want to try to do it as much as we can with couples together, because you'd be surprised at how many more people join, because one of the couples talked the other one in, and hey, let's do this, when the other one might not have been ready to do it. So these are big things. These are questions you ask yourself that maximize the closing ratio. Another piece is it's hard for your prospect to say no. I believe when I step into it, hey, it's going to be hard for people to say no. Matter of fact, that's why sometimes people don't return your phone calls, because they're not ready to say yes, but they don't want to say no. Now, it kind of drives you crazy, but that's the reality of what's going on. So we present ourselves in that way. And then we realize closing is nothing more than overcoming objection. Here's my last 5 minutes of tonight. I want to describe to you something called the box. Now, if you realize a box has 6 sides. This is how I want you to think about closing from this point forward, everybody. A box has 6 sides. And what our job to do is to close the box, make sure all sides are closed, so there's only one way out of the box. See, oftentimes people are leaving sides of the boxes or parts of the, 5 out of 6, 3 out of 6 of the sides of the box are not even closed properly. So we're letting excuses dominate the closing process. We're letting too many detailed questions dominate the closing process. And here's really what I mean by the box. See, people lose the sale because they wait till the end of a presentation to overcome objections. So what I'd like to teach you to do is think of closing as the box. And here's what we want to do. We want to define the 5 most common objections that the 7K opportunity has. And you may be thinking of these. Use what I have on the screen tonight as an example, because this is kind of across the board. And we're talking about team building now. I'm not talking about the product or the asset necessarily. We're talking about growing 2 teams so we can create massive incomes. When you present this, you're going to hear things like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money to do this right now. I don't like sales, or I've tried networking before, or team building before. I don't want to spend money on monthly products, or I don't know anybody. So these are kind of the top 5 objections that are general across the board, across the industry. There may be a specific 1 or 2 you can replace whatever you want in here with something specific that you're hearing over and over again. But the reality is throughout our presentation, what we want to do is to intentionally overcome these top 5 objections, or the top 5 that we have identified here at 7K, before the end of the presentation, not wait till the end to start dealing with it. Now, how do you overcome time, money, sales, products, or I don't know anybody? You do it through good presentation, testimonials in between, your story and how you communicate it prior. It's nothing wrong with you saying, listen, when I first saw this, I didn't have enough time to hardly think, but I met a bunch of people that were working as many hours as me that were developing a solid passive income. So just something simple like that, by you throwing it out there and overcoming the time objection before they even got to before they saw the presentation that night or during it. Now, all of a sudden, in their mind, because you said that you and other people were working a ton of hours, but were able to accomplish it, it kind of helps them check that off, or begin to check it off in their mind. They don't even want to use the time excuse, because you might be working more than them. So what you're doing is you're helping people check off excuses, so that by the time you get to the end of a presentation or right after, there's not a whole lot of excuses left. Hey, I don't have money. Well, you can introduce them to somebody that maybe has some challenges. Listen, didn't really have money, didn't really have time, but I realized that I needed to figure something out if something was going to change. So I figured anybody that really wanted to do something bad enough could figure out how to get the funding together to get started with 7K. And so just by them hearing a story like that, it causes them to not want to use that as a personal excuse, because other people have overcome it, so can they. And that's really the art of the box. Let's define the 5 most common objections, do this, and then throughout your conversation with people before they get to the presentation, throughout the presentation, and perhaps even a closing story, a third-party story at the end of a presentation, however you go about this, if you're sitting down with a couple of people at a coffee shop, well, you want to make sure you're overcoming this before you're asking for the close of the sale. And that's my point here. Incorporate stories and examples that deals with these throughout your presentation, and overcome any or all other objections with third party, then ask for the sale. So, ladies and gentlemen, my goal tonight is to present to you a way to think about it, because asking for the sale is not that difficult. Asking for somebody, when it's been presented and communicated properly, and you've overcome any objections, and they may not have all these objections, but they're not going to tell you whether they have all of these. It may just be a hang up in the back of their mind. So it's powerful to learn how to overcome them. Let me give you some final strategies here. One is, you could say to somebody at the end of a presentation, and maybe you feel like you've done a good job of overcoming the basic objections. You could say something like, hey, Tim, listen, on scale from 10, 1 not being ready to do this and 10 being ready to get started tonight and roll, where do you see yourself?
10.
Because we want to get the objections on the table. And let's say that they say, well, I'm about a 6 or a 7. Then you could say, hey, Tim, what questions do I need to answer for you to help move you to a 10? And then here's the second strategy: be silent. Sometimes we have to get out of our own way, everybody. We have to throw out a question. It's a closing question. Hey, and I've used this one thousands of times. Hey, Tim, let's scale from 1 to 10, 1 not being interested. I mean, you've seen everything now. 1 not being interested, 10 being ready to sign up. Where do you find yourself? Most people say 6 or 7. If they say 1 or 2, it's time to just kind of take it away and move on. But if they're 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, just say, listen, what questions do I need to get answered for to help you overcome this? And let them tell you what it's going to take to close the sale. They might say, well, I don't quite have the money. So you know what? You might take a step and do a 3-way call, introduce them to a few people that overcame that. Boom. You're building their beliefs so that they'll want it bad enough to go figure out how to get it. Cool? Because we all know that's an illegitimate excuse for most people. But we got to be silent and let them tell us how to make the sale. You could also say, listen, okay, you don't have time. Other than that, is there anything else stopping you from joining today? Remember this phrase, other than that, no matter what they say. Hey, listen, I don't know a lot of people. Hey, Tim, listen, other than that, is there anything stopping you from joining tonight? They might say one other thing, and you could say, other than that, is there anything stop? And then they'll say, no, if I knew a lot of, so Tim, if I'm right, if we can help, if I can show you how we're going to meet enough people, how to communicate with them to build a couple teams, if you really believe that, does this make sense to you? And what you're doing is you're walking them through it to a yes answer. Now, I've run out of time, so we may continue this dialogue. So if you have questions about closing the sale, we can continue this. But the last strategy I'll give you is a third-party strategy. Always default to call, when you've got a good prospect that's just, you want to help them get over that hump. Don't always try to do it by yourself. Call someone on your team that's had success. Let them hear a story. Let them help ask for the sale again, overcome objections. Hopefully these ideas this week will help you take your game to the next level. And the last suggestion here is, if someone really just has objection, remember they're always the takeaway. Hey, how about I call you in 30 days, let you know how things are going. Timing might be bad for you now. And you take it away rather than lose a sale. You postpone it for 30 days down the road, because this person, obviously, if they're pushing back, they're not ready. So our action list for the week is pretty simple. We are giving away 5 more all-in tickets, and we're giving away Think Big books. It's just a fun reasons to go do this. But let's go generate 10 new conversations this week. Let's set a goal over the next 7 days to get the presentation in front of 5 new people. And our goal is to sign up 2. But if we sign up 1, we're on our path to victory. The 10, the 5, and the 2, the 10, the 5, and the 2. We're going to get better at introducing, get better at presenting, get better at closing the sale, bring a high expectation to the table this week, fill out your scorecard next Tuesday or before the deadline ends on Wednesday, and let's go have the biggest week ever. My time is up. God bless. I'm going to unmute here just for a second. Tim, kick it back to you, my friend, and we can go from there.
Ryan, thank you so much, brother. I'm so tempted to just rehash so many of the good points you made. Starting the conversation, if we could just have 10 conversations, especially the people who are learning how to talk about 7K, it's so powerful just to start talking about it. And you might have some rough conversations in the beginning, but you will become more conversant. There are so many great things. I'm so glad that this is being recorded. People who've opted into the text, look for that recording coming out tomorrow. We will be making these recordings available for everyone eventually as well. Thank you all for joining. I hope you took notes. I know I did. I really enjoy these trainings personally as well. I've been spending time over the last week. It seems like it's starting to sink in. People are texting me. We're talking about it. People are tracking stuff. It's really starting to really make a difference for a lot of folks. And I appreciate you, Ryan. And I hope that everyone on this call is taking notes and acting on this stuff. We will see you guys next week, and we'll let you go. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.